Well, here's something that I'm very excited to ask you about now. Where did Lucy Darling come from?
Oh, great. So I started doing characters in my kids show to start out with. I saw a lot of other people did like characters in their kids show. A lot of people did clowning, and I was like, that'll be fun for me, and it'll keep it more separate from the adult corporate stuff I do. And then I really enjoyed that, so I started creating these like roving characters. Like Your Fairy Stepmother was originally a roving character. So like these people I would invent, and the more I got into like doing character work, the more it sort of took over. I remember being in a restaurant with my friend John Reed, and there was a woman sitting across from us in a different booth with her friends, and she would have been 55 maybe. All her friends were 55. She had this short little haircut, and she was clearly her kids had just all moved out of the house, and you could hear in the way she was talking this like loneliness and this sorrow, but it was covered by this waspy, she was trying to put on a show for her friends. And she was so fascinating to me to watch because she didn't know she was doing a character, but she was. And I ate her personality. I just ate it. I just watched her, and then it was mine. And I named the character in my head Diane, and then I created an act where, Diane is this. Hi, I'm so excited to be here. My friends are here in the back. Hello, hello, yes, and also my son Zachary. Zachary, where are you? Zachary, he's here. Anyway, I just thought, I have this hula hoop and this deck of cards, and I thought, why not? And she's just doing it for the first time. And so it's this act, and you just watch her like fail miserably, and it's delicious, and the audience is so on her side. And so, I've been creating characters forever. And when you start creating characters and it happens more and more, your brain just sort of changes. It sort of works differently. And so it goes from like a very deliberate process of creating a character to you see someone and you just eat their soul, and then sometimes this thing like comes out from your insides. And Lucy was one of those. I had been watching a lot of old timey movies, a lot of Zsa Zsa Gabor, Eartha Kitt, Mae West, Katharine Hepburn, and also I'd been watching a lot of Star Trek. And there's Q is in Star Trek, and I love the idea that Q was this like this lazy, lonely, bored god. And I just thought, what an interesting character as a magician to be like, you're not doing tricks. I'm not performing for you. I'm bored. I'm just doing whatever it takes to elicit a response so that you will feel the need to entertain me. And so I had this idea for this character, but I had not done any characters as a magician because I had been praised quite a bit by the magic community about doing this very serious, authentic magic. And because I have an acting background, and so I could do this, authentic, very serious magic. And so I felt very discouraged. And I told a few people about this idea about Lucy, and everyone was very, no, it's a terrible idea. Magic characters in magic are always a bit cheesy. Don't do it. Okay, and then I was at the Atlanta Harvest convention, and I saw Zabrecki perform for the first time, and he was outstanding, and it was so inspiring. And he was running a workshop a day after the convention, and I didn't have a ton of money at the time, but I changed my flights and I paid for the extra day, and I added a day of hotel and like whatever it took to do this thing, and I went. And it was like a day long workshop of character work and stuff like that. And Zabrecki was great. And I pitched this idea as part of the class. And he said, you've got to tell me what happened with that. It's such a cool idea. And that was all of the I needed. I just needed one person to be like, yeah, it's a great idea. You should do that. And so when I got back to Canada, I sent an application into the Melbourne Magic Festival, and I started working on it. And I hired an accent coach, and the timeline was really crunched, which was great for me to work on it. And once I had the voice, the next thing I realized I needed was the look. And I bought some clothes and I sewed some stuff, and it was fine. But really, the moment I had it was when I had the voice and the wig. I went through like 9 wigs to get to that wig. And when I saw the way it made my face small and how drag it was and the sound of her, it was like, yeah, that's who she is. That's what she is. And I didn't have a lot of time to rehearse or to like practice the material before I went to Australia. So I was like just practicing the magic of it and learning the script, but I didn't really have a chance to do the show. I really wanted to premiere it in Australia. And I remember getting to Australia and doing this like burlesque gig right before the festival started because I didn't want the first time I ever did Lucy to be an hour long show. So it's this little burlesque show. And I was like, okay, Lucy will come out and she'll do like a quick card trick and maybe she'll fire eat. And they were like, you have 8 minutes. And it's this incredible burlesque show in Australia called Moulin Beige. By the way, I'd never been to Australia. I didn't know anyone there. That was the whole point because I was pretty sure this was going to be a horrible, miserable failure, and I didn't want anyone to find out. And so I go to this burlesque show, and I'm on like fourth. And the thing that happened before me was a guy who stripped down to an outfit of just kitchen utensils, and he had like a little tiny colander over his penis.
Oh
That
my
was
gosh.
the act that was on before me, and then when I came out there, I saw there was a baby in the audience, and I ceased to exist, and Lucy took over, and Lucy improvised 7 minutes about the colander and the baby. And then I remember going, oh, like out of this fugue state, going, I gotta do a trick. And so then I like did a quick little fire eating thing, and walked off stage. Everyone was like, "Whoa, that was amazing!" And I remember sitting backstage going, "What the hell just happened?" Like I had never done a character that was so strong that like came out of me in that way. Every other character had, you do a character, you're acting. Like there was a deliberateness about it. You're holding it up the whole time. But immediately with Lucy, it was so easy, like to move into her and to stay in character. And she was such a strong presence, and her motivations were so clear. And then I did the festival, and they had to hold over for extra shows because it kept selling out. And I won the comedy award, and I got booked to the Magic Castle for the first time on that act. And I did the summer tour with the Fringe festivals, and over the course of 6 months my whole life changed. I went from being this like obscure close-up magician, mostly known for sideshow, to being this entity that everybody was doing interviews with me. Everyone wanted me. I did the lounge for the first time. Like, I, it was an overnight success, and I couldn't keep up. Like, it was a completely overwhelming experience. Like, I was having trouble like juggling my visa at the time because it was a 6 month visa, and I was like, God, how do I get all these gigs in this 6 month period? Um, and a year a year and a month after that first time, oh no, 2 years and a month after that first time that Zabrecki said, "Hey, this is a good idea," I was performing with him at this really great show in Vancouver that he had hired me to do. So I was performing like this opening act for him. And then a year after that, we did like a double act as part of this convention. And it was just so crazy to go from like, this is like my hero. This is the greatest act I've ever seen. And now, like, I feel very comfortable sharing a stage with him. In 2 years, it was just the most insane whirlwind of nonsense. And it's still happening. Like, it just keeps blowing up over and over again. And every time I think like, okay, this is the top, I can just coast. Like this is what it was supposed to be. Then just recently I got hired to do the lead for Teatro Zanzani, and I'm like, what the hell? Like that's my dream gig. So I need a new dream because that was genuinely the craziest thing I could imagine, and now it's just my next contract.